Hi, it's Emily, and I'm joined here with Jim Whiting. Now it's 9 a.m. here stateside on the Eastern time zone. Jim, what time is it where you are?
11 p.m.
All right, so in Australia, we do have a little bit of a time change. And we want to talk about a new course that you're going to be teaching. And want to know, is this a new risk management course?
In actual fact, it's a sort of a no and a yes. It's known that I've been offering this course for a number of years now. As a matter of fact, I was calculating there yesterday. I think we've done it about 95 times and probably about 1,400, 1,500 people have attended. So in that respect, it's not new, but it is always new because every time I prepare the course, I'm always revising and adding, and because I learn a lot while I'm teaching as well. So I'm looking at other people, what they do, and I take the best of everybody so that the course you can always regard it as being completely up to date, and that's how we use the euphemism state of the art.
Right. Now, I also have people who want to know, does a course teach principles that are consistent with ISO? Specifically, what can you tell us about ISO and what you'll be talking about in the course?
Good. Well, I was wondering if I could share my screen, and that will sort of I'll be able to talk to it if you don't mind,
Okay.
Emily. Okay, so in case I forget, anyone looking at this video, you're welcome. You'll see the last slide. You can email me, and I'll send you a copy of the PowerPoint that I'm using. So I'll just open it up, and you can see there the details. I'll also, to answer your question, Emily, I'll go on to the next slide. It's a standard now that for a number of years has been adopted by nearly every country in the world, as you can see, and they've got different names for it, but it's still ISO 31000. And the course is compatible with the 31000. As a matter of fact, this little flow chart that describes the process that 31000 defines means this is what is the core of the course. The course, you can be quite sure that any attendee participant, you'll be learning everything that is compatible with, I won't say conform, but because 31000 is not a specification standard, it's a guideline standard, but it certainly is one of the most useful tools in helping people do risk assessment better. So it follows through, and the course will also follow through these different stages of the ISO 31000 risk management process. And a big decision diamond there is the evaluation. And if you get no to any one of those questions, that the risk isn't tolerable or the risk hasn't been reduced so far as reasonably practical, or the risk owner is not satisfied, then you have to treat or control and avoid and share the risk. And if you do that, once you come up with new controls or different controls, or you're deciding to avoid and share, you just better make sure, and the red arrow showing you better go back and get the size of the risk, what the size of the risk will be and how it will be changed if you implement the things you've decided down here. So you've got to keep going around that red circle until you get yes to all of these questions. And if you get it, and all the time you should be communicating, consulting. But if you get a yes there, you've got to go up and record, report, and then it's a never-ending cycle. You've got to go back again, because there's one thing we all know is that risks are never static. They're very dynamic and they're always changing, and I emphasize the word change. So to answer your question, yes, it definitely is consistent with 31000.
Perfect. Does it cover all risk opportunity, like HSEQ, financial, asset management, and equipment?
But I must say that all my professional life, risk management life, is I've concentrated on health, safety, environment, quality, assets, and etc. And the principles are common across all the domains. So you can follow the 31000 and the course to cover all kind of risk domains. I must add, though, that I don't regard myself as a financial risk manager, and I would not then claim that any participant is going to get a lot of information about financial risk management, but the principles are the same in any domain. Just a little in passing, financial risk managers talk about exposure as being the size of the consequence, the quantum of the profit or loss. When in actual fact, exposure is a more general word, meaning how often and how long the subject that is subject to the risk is exposed to the risk. So there's a little bit of difference there. So,
So who should attend your course?
well, it's there's no prerequisites, and it's from beginner to advanced. And I've listed some of the people, as you can see there. I make the disclaimer there that I'm not focusing very much on financial risks at all, and but I can assure you that, you know, the 1,450 or so attendees at all the past courses, including the one earlier this year, have all effusively indicated in the feedbacks that they learnt a lot, and also I'd say they enjoyed a lot, because we use the Zoom breakout groups, and people tell stories about their experiences, and we learn from them. I do as well.
Excellent. So we talk about who should attend. What will be some of the benefits of attending? What will they learn?
Well, I give it a 100% undertaking that you'll get out of attending, if you attend this course, increased confidence in how well your risk assessments are going, and whether they're objective and whether they're accurate, whether they're consistent. And I hear people all the time saying that their risk assessments don't give them confidence because of the nature of them and the quality of them. I emphasize that this course focuses on how to do it. I put the percentage roughly 75% of the time we're talking about how to do it, and 25% on why we're doing it.
That's great.
So, and I think I've put a lot of emphasis on the fact that risk management is all about making risk-informed decisions. And the emphasis will be on practical skills and knowledge and the use of proven methods and tools in risk. You know, the first time I've added there opportunity. The course is about risk and not opportunity, not just risk management. It's risk and opportunity, which most of the people who view this video will know that now the standards, well, since about 2015, most of the standards, 9,000, ISO 9,000, ISO 14,000, 27,000, they're all saying that you have to be able to implement and estimate all the risks and opportunities that the organisation is pursuing and exploiting. There's also, amongst this practical skills I give you during the course, many useful templates to develop your own tools and methods. And I do cover the strengths and limitations of measurements, which can be very useful or they can be very useless. And naturally, I also help people look at the strengths and pitfalls of implementing in a risk and opportunity management system, or reviewing the existing ones. Everything in the course, Emily, everything in the course is consistent and appropriate to any of the attendees' existing risk and opportunity management systems. We're not asking them to do massive changes or massive U-turns in what they're doing. We're just showing them in the 2 days the useful additions and some observations on how you could improve. That's why I call it the Improving Risk and Opportunity Management course.
Okay. And can you provide us some examples of what they can do in the course to improve? Do you have anything that would kind of give us a sneak peek?
Yeah. Well, the there's a whole range of what I call the 13 hacks to
Okay.
improve, and I'll only just probably focus on just the ones that I've got in red, but I encourage any viewer to have a look at these in detail and just see how we do get a lot covered in the 2 days. So just looking here, that's a pretty general one. We are going to spend a bit of time on how you as our attendees who are facilitators of risk assessments, how they can improve their skills and knowledge in facilitating a risk assessment to be more effective, and even then participating without even facilitate. One interesting aspect that I have highlighted, I've made in red, is the Delphi technique, which is one of us, a tool that can achieve consensus in your team assessments, and it's a very valuable technique for getting consensus in estimating risk, because it can be a very contentious issue. Is lack of agreement about what the size of a risk is, and I teach the Delphi technique to narrow down that range of variation. Down here, 10, I've emphasized the importance of communications before, during, and after a risk assessment. You've got to talk to people before, you've got to communicate with the stakeholders and all the participants, all the people that could be affected or can contribute to the risk assessment. And going back to item 11 here, hack 11, going back to the ISO standards, they introduced risk and opportunity-based thinking, what was just called risk-based thinking, and I've added the word opportunity because the standards they do talk about managing risks and opportunities. And there was a lot of misunderstandings about what that term means. So we spent a fair bit of time explaining it properly and using it properly. And I won't go through the rest. As a matter of fact, on the last slide, I say, if you want to know any more about these, you can email me and I'll tell you about them.
Very good. That's helpful.
Okay, so really that's all I'd like to share with people at the moment, but I'm sure there's a lot of things I didn't have time to cover, but you can have a look at them and you can see how the workshop is structured, its agenda at that URL. But also I'll say, ask me anything about risk management, including copies of these slides at jim@workplace.com.au. Is there anything I should cover further, Emily?
I think that's really a great overview of the course. I do want to ask for our viewers and listeners, what time zones are suitable for this 2-day online workshop?
Oh, yes. Thanks for that. We went in planning this workshop very intentionally to probably make it more appropriate to Australia, Asia, and the Oceania. So there'll be an Australian Eastern Standard Time timetable, and which it'll be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Australian Eastern Standard Time, and that'll make it very convenient for most of Asia, which would be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so in the past, most or many of my workshops have been on South America, North America, and Canada time zones, and that's been not very convenient for attendees.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for sharing about the course. Is there anything else you want to add before we end today?
No, I think that's about covered it. I could go back to some of the bullet points. If it was a dynamic webinar, I could probably ask people to say which ones are interested, but I'm giving you the invitation here. There you can follow up at that email address, jim@workplaces.com.au. And I saw the expression AMA, which I'm using now, ask me anything.
Great. And do you mind to click on your URL? Can we see what that looks like? Click on that tiny URL. It brings us here to the TapRooT page talking about the course.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we've got the course.
Course details in very much detail. And so that will give people enough information to make a judgment about the kind of things they'll learn. And I emphasize that we use the workshops, the breakout rooms of Zoom to give people maximum interaction with each other and learn from each other. That's even the register click there as well. Yeah, it takes you to
Right here.
then you click on that and that takes you then to the registration. Okay, well, thanks again. I'll better go to bed.
Thanks, Jim.